Hello year 2s, it's Mrs. Korea and I hope you're all safe and fine. Today I want to tell you something about a very special person by the name of Nelson Mandela. Now Nelson Mandela was a very special person who played a very important role to change many things in the world around, especially when it came to racism and when it came to distinguish between the black and the white community. And therefore, it's very important to just know a little bit about him and his role he played to change things in the world. Now, firstly, let's start with facts about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was born in South Africa on 18th of July, which is due next month, 1918. He went to prison for 27 years for fighting against the government and the unfair treatment of black people. 4 years after being released from prison, Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa. He died on the 5th of December 2013 and he was and is still now a worldwide hero. Now let's know a little bit about how he grew up. Nelson Mandela was born in a village of Mvezo and was a member of the Madiba clan. They are a special group of people who lived in South Africa that time. His father called him Ruli Halala, which means troublemaker. However, when he went to school, the teacher gave him the name Nelson because she could not pronounce his African name. After school, Mandela went to university where he studied law and eventually he became a lawyer in 1942. Now, there were problems in South Africa. Just about what were the problems? Most South African people are black. And there were also white people who lived there too. Many white people. Now, white and black people spent years fighting over land. When Mandela was growing up, black people had a little say in how South Africa was run. And most of them worked as servants and in factories and coal mines. So they were given very menial jobs. They were not given highly paid jobs. But they were not allowed to say anything when it came to about South Africa and it's how to make the country a better place. In 1948, the South African government made new laws to keep white and black people apart. So they did not want the white and black people to work together. This new system was called apartheid. A white person and a black person, they were not allowed to marry. They could not share a table in a restaurant or even sit together on the bus. Black children and white children even went to separate schools. Just not like today. We all come to the same school, though we are of different colors and different races. But in those days, that wasn't allowed long time ago. They had to travel separately. They had to eat in separate restaurants. They were not given and treated the same way, just like the others. Now, there was something called as the African National Congress, also known as the ANC. Now, in 1944, Nelson Mandela joined the ANC, which was the African National Congress. The ANC wanted black South Africans to have the same rights as the white South Africans. So they said, why should we be treated different? We should be able to do the same jobs. We should be able to go in the same buses like the others do and the same schools. So they started protesting against the government. This became really violent and dangerous. In 1956, Mandela and 155 people were arrested by the police and they were put in the prison. And Mandela was put in the prison for 5 long years. Problems continued. Violence between the black and the white people grew and the South African government, they blamed Nelson Mandela and the African National Congress, that's the ANC, for causing it. In 1962, Mandela was again arrested by the police and he was given life sentence. So he was not allowed to come out of prison because they thought he was a cause of all these problems, of the fights between the black and white people. He spent the next 18 years on a prison which was on an island, and the island was Robben Island, before moving to a different prison for another 9 years. So imagine, he was first for 5 years, then for 18 years, and then for another 9 years. So he spent most of his life in prison. How would you feel if you were in the prison for so long? Free Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela became the most famous prisoner in the whole world. People around the world were calling him Free Nelson Mandela, so they wanted to free him because he was just kept in prison for most of his life. But he did not give up. He still fought even though he was in the prison so that the people can get the equal rights. In 1990, when he was actually left out, finally set free, he was finally set free and he was chosen as the South African's president. Mandela and Clerk agreed that there was going to be no more fighting. Mandela called to all the South African people to live together, whether they were black or whether they were white. They were told to live together and stop fighting and stop being racist and stop being rude and unkind to each other, but be friends. In 1993, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Because of his hard work and his fight for the right things, he was given a special prize. And he was given the Nobel Peace Prize for bringing in peace in South Africa and stopping all the fights between the people. In 1994 elections, all the black people were allowed to vote. Now, previously, they were not allowed. They were just being rude with. But now they were allowed to vote for the first time. As a result, Nelson Mandela became the first black president in South Africa. The Rainbow Nation. Archbishop Desmond Tutu, another famous South African person, and Nelson Mandela, they called South Africa a rainbow nation because people of all races and skin colors were working together. And they did not be unkind to each other, but rather they worked together as a big country. Now what I need you to do is, your task is to just see something about another famous South African like Desmond Tutu, the Archbishop. Find some facts about him. Why was he so famous? What was special about him? And do let us know a little bit information about Desmond Tutu, who played a very important role just like Nelson Mandela. I hope you enjoy learning about someone special and will get more information about a new famous South African person. Till then, bye-bye year twos. Take care and stay safe.